Welcome to Big Point Training, the mental training program for tennis players and tournaments. My name is Magnus Einhoff. In the training session for today we work on the theme Replanning the mental strategy in competition. In my last video we talked about the strategy against unknown opponents. We know that a strategy over 3 sets is the best plan in cases with incomplete information. Today I like to present you Replanning the mental strategy in competition. Let's take a closer look on this request in matches. In the preparation of a match you will, on the mental level, evaluate the match constellation. You assess the level of play in comparison to your opponent. There are basically 3 possible match constellations. If your abilities are superior, you are favored. You are definitely allowed to plan on 2 straight sets. Going into a match with an equivalent opponent, you expect a difficult 50-50 match. In the third possibility, your opponent is favored because of his superior abilities. It is a fact that these assumptions and considerations have to be changed depending on the score of a match. Obviously, you cannot predict all conditions of matches, and a plan does not fit for all times. You must pay attention to the ratio of the current playing level. Every time you assess the ratio of forces in a wrong way, you will achieve a weaker performance and the result of the match will be influenced negatively. In this case, you don't have the right self-confidence to win or give up too early. The solution of this problem is often the 50-50 plan, but it is not every time the solution. Imagine you play against a supposed equivalent opponent, an unknown player. You are 4-1 in the lead in the first set. How do you know if your opponent is really equivalent? Or vice versa, the score is 1-4, planning a 50-50 match. How do you know that you will be actually equal to your opponent? An important tip is to watch on the strategical plan as long as the score does it allow. If you plan a match as favored and your opponent goes after 5-5 to 5-6 in the lead, the time for replanning has come. He has surely managed his way into the tiebreak and therefore shown an objective evidence for equivalence. The question is why? Tiebreak means literally to break the draw. It is a synonym for equivalence. It is absolutely necessary in this moment to accept a changed condition. Coping with stress and fighting over the whole time has to be given priority. Another way, if your opponent does not still achieve the 6th game in set, there is no evidence to be in danger of losing. An assumption in the preparation of a match must lead to bias the reality. The score will give you security to assess the true level of forces. If you lose a set in tiebreak, it is obvious that you have chances to win realistically. But many athletes diminish the willingness after a lost tiebreak. The diminished motivation derives from a bad assessment in the strategical plan. Although considerable evidence for equivalence exists, the loss of a set leads to a different evaluation in the ratio of forces. Replanning has to be managed actually when the form of the day modifies the normal ratio of forces. In other words, you are playing under your limit and a superior athlete achieves to win a set or the tiebreak. If you rail against your fate and you begin to annoy about your bad performance, the aim as a favorite stays in your mind. Actually, your opponent is due to your weaker performance equivalent. You are forced to replan in order to build up an appropriate attitude and fitting motivation. If you don't manage, you lose this match in the head. If you are ready to accept reality, assessing your performance at a standard of 6 games in a set, an appropriate strategy will be automatically created, bringing the right motivation and attitude for the match. Imagine you would get less than 6 games in a set against a superior opponent. Is it reasonable to follow an aim to win? If you do so, you will soon react with frustration and anger. If the performance difference is actually blatantly obvious prior to the competition or afterwards in the match, you should eat humble pie and target for adaptation on a higher play level within rallies. It is possible to give your opponent the role of favorite. You can replan this strategy in the match when you manage to win 6 games in a set. In this situation, you plan a stress match and believe firmly in the winning chance of 50-50. You see how important it is to keep the strategical goal in sight. You have to manage this prior to the competition for preparation and during the match in respect of the current score. Now I'd like to wish you much success in planning your strategy in the future with your new knowledge. Just have a look on my homepage, you will find there more information for tennis players. If you like my video, give me a thumb up and recommend your friends my video. If you want, I will send you a PDF with the content of my video so you can read it before matches. You will find more information and other videos on YouTube with different mental questions for tennis players in tournaments. See you soon.